Friends, once again you all are heartily welcome to a new, mysterious, and exciting story. So let's begin. The story begins with a century-old fear. Exactly 100 years ago, when the world was still intoxicated with science and civilization, suddenly something happened that no one could have imagined. The earth burst, and monsters came out from within it. These monsters were not ordinary. Suddenly, a thunderous voice filled the air. It spread throughout the area. All surviving citizens, please immediately enter the safe fortress. This is block number 54. Attention, no citizen should go anywhere except alone. And especially, do not wander around those 9 mysterious houses that have recently appeared from the inside. Those 9 houses, if one falls into them, one goes straight into the secret lairs of the underground beasts. Returning from there is impossible. At that moment the air had become heavy. Here was this girl trembling. Her lips had dried up. Her eyes were wandering around like a frightened deer. One of the boys standing behind said in a hushed voice, "Brother wants to play with you. It is a matter of good fortune for you. And you dare to run away." There was neither humanity nor shame in his words. Only arrogance, and the power he felt by considering himself superior to other humans. "You should be proud to be with us, because brother is very kind." Then another one came to the forefront. There was no kindness in his eyes, only contempt. "Hey, are you a prostitute?" he said, as if he were talking to an object. "You have only 2 choices. Either let us play with you now, or jump into that ditch yourself." The girl took a step back. There was a deep ditch behind him, and a crowd of wolves in front of him. The girl's breathing was getting faster. There was fear in her eyes, but she said in a trembling voice, "You're crazy. You attack your own classmates, silence witnesses, and now you want me to betray Goddess Lin. Never. You'll never touch me." Whereas his words were as full of fear as of hatred, the man standing in front of her smiled now, a murderous smile. "So, you know about me. A lot. It means that leaving you alive now is not safe for me." He took a step closer. There was a cruel confidence on his face now, as if he thought of himself as God. But Lin will be mine. She will marry me just like I say. Her brother is in prison, and now she has no choice." Then he came closer to the girl and said in a low voice, "Forget Lin, just a good girl. Let me have my fun. Maybe I can save you from falling into this abyss." Now the girl had reached the edge of the ditch. Her heels were shaking on the ground, and a stream of tears was flowing silently from her eyes. All courage now hung on a thin thread. Just then a small stone touches her foot, and she rolls down and falls into the ditch. There is silence for a moment. Click, click, ek. A sound like bones rubbing against metal floats in the air. That sound was so unnatural that it seemed as if the earth had buried something awake beneath it. Lines of fear appear on the faces of the boys standing in front. What kind of sound was that?" said one. But the question remains incomplete, because the very next moment a heavy, black shadow rises up from the ditch. A hand made of bones, adorned with sharp nails, slowly comes up. Then the other. And then the whole figure. Cause a demonic creature stood in front, and its whole body smelled of death. "Oh my God! This is a B-class bone beast. How is this possible?" The experienced fighter decides immediately. "This beast can tear apart awake humans. Everyone save your lives, run." And then he orders everyone to run with a hand gesture. The monster had not even stood up completely when the man, in fear, used the girl as his shield. His hands were shaking, but his tongue was active, crossing all limits of wickedness. He shouted, "No, don't eat me! Look, this is a girl. Her skin is soft, her meat will be fresh, it will taste even better than my meat." But the monster's red eyes were searching for something else. He didn't even look at the girl. His eyes were fixed directly on the man, and there was a depth in them, as if the meanness of humans had become unbearable even for him. Then, there was silence for a moment. And the next moment there was an explosion. The monster attacked with such force with its bony, black arms that the entire body of the man above the shoulders was blown away in one stroke. A stream of blood splattered in the air, and the half-burnt body fell to the ground with a thud, as if the earth had swallowed the pride. The silence broke. The rest of the boys, who were pretending to be strong before, had now become animals to save their lives. "Run! Master is dead." One of them tremblingly took out his phone. His hands were shaking so much that he couldn't even touch the screen properly. Still he screamed, "There is a monster here! Someone help us! We will die!" Everyone was running to save their lives. As if the thread of life was tied to their feet, screams, falling and crushing steps, dusty air, and then tak, tak. She goes, a huge, bony foot of the monster fell on the ground, and a man was completely crushed under it. The bones of the body screamed as if in unison. A fountain of blood fell into the soil. The rest of the people held their breath on seeing that scene. But the monster did not stop here. Dosiers he pounced and caught another man, the one who had pulled out the phone, in his bony hands. Six for a moment, that man kept swinging in the air, thrashing, pleading. But there was no mercy in the monster's eyes, crushed shatak. As his hands crushed her as if she were a toy, pieces of blood and flesh scattered in the air. Half the girl's courage failed after seeing all this. As fire, her knees hit the ground. Tears in her eyes, no words on her lips, as if every emotion had frozen. She sat there like a statue of fear and shock. She knew this was no ordinary creature. Now it was her turn. The monster headed straight for her, blood still dripping from its long, spiny claws. Its red eyes stared into the girl's eyes, and its tongue hung out like a dead animal's. The girl trembled. No words came out of her lips, but tears flowed from her eyes. For a moment, she surrendered herself, as if there was no fight left. "If I must die, at least I will die with my honor," she mumbled. Better to die at the hands of a monster than at the hands of those beasts called humans. But then something strange happened. The monster stood still for a moment. It looked at the girl from head to toe. And then, it turned around. The monster took a great leap and disappeared in the blink of an eye, as if carried away by some inner command or emotion. Lusha, the girl, sat on the ground, breathless. Mind numbed aksha, she looked around her, corpses, blood, silence. And she was the only one left alive. Afafas. A broken sound escaped her lips. Tough. Why didn't he kill me? As the monster took a long leap and crossed the building, jumping over it. As after he left, the atmosphere of the school suddenly changed. Inside, an enraged principal slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "Bastard! How did my son die in school? How is that possible?" His voice was full of anger and his face showed helplessness. "How did you maintain the security of the school? How weak was the security at the place where my son was killed?" As the principal's questions silenced the entire room. As then, the two security officers who stood in front of him began to answer in a mixture of fear and helplessness. "Principal, our underground monitors did not detect any monsters climbing into the abyss," one officer said without pausing. His voice was an attempt to give a concrete answer, but his eyes clearly said that he himself was surprised by the incident. "The scholar, the bone-faced beast, must have entered from outside," he said, but there was no conviction in his words either. The principal turned back and stared at the officers and said, "So you are saying that the monster was hiding in the walls of the trench and came out from there and killed my son?" I see. His voice was calm now, but the volcano hidden in it could explode any moment. What nonsense is this? He took a step forward. His eyes were as angry as burnt ashes. Bone-faced animals are even less intelligent than birds. They can't even climb a wall, and you are saying that he hid. He took a deep breath, then swung his hand forcefully in the air, as if he was killing and throwing his anger into the air. Oxef, I don't care whether it is a human or a monster. Whoever is guilty, he will have to pay the price for it. He stopped and his eyes had turned red. On this peak, standing alone, was Lin Yuan, the hero of our story, his face cold, but his eyes looked more dangerous than a storm. Just then, there was a tremor in the air, and a huge demon leapt out and landed beside him. Its breathing was heavy, its body covered in blood, but as it bowed in front of Yuan, its voice was reverent and relaxed. "Ex-master, I'm back." Another demon came from behind and stood with his head bowed. Yuan said in a calm voice, "Number one, you still smell blood. It might make us pay more attention than necessary." He paused, then took a deep breath and said, "You two go back to beast space now." He took out a glowing card from inside his coat. As soon as he opened it, both demons vanished into it like smoke. He stared at the card in silence for a few moments, then a faint smile appeared on his lips. A cold, extremely dangerous smile. Wang Kai, he muttered to himself, "You put me in prison, took away my world. Now I will kick you out of that world. Forever. Now we're on equal terms, but I bet you never thought that the demon who killed you came on my orders. Sir, in a desolate world filled with demons, where every day is a new battle to survive, Lin Yuan emerges as a unique hero. Where others flee from demons, Lin Yuan catches them. He doesn't defeat them, he tames them. His trump card is the Just Demon Capture System, a mysterious and powerful technique that only he possesses. The demons in his cards obey him, protect him, and, when necessary, destroy their enemies. Then our hero, Lin Yuan, coldly commands his number 3 demon take him back to prison. The demon steps forward without question and lifts Lin Yuan onto his huge, strong shoulders. The next moment he takes a giant leap, carrying him back to prison. A B-class bone-faced beast, the most dangerous demon I've ever tamed, he thinks. Now I have three demons that can wipe out any ability user, even the first awakened ones. As they enter the prison boundaries, the giant slowly bends down and takes Lin Yuan off his shoulder. Silence falls all around. Lin Yuan takes a few steps forward, then stops and takes out a special card from his pocket, his trump card. "Come back," he says calmly. And in no time, the giant is engulfed in a glowing light and trapped in the card. Lin Yuan stands there silently for a while. His eyes look at the high walls of the prison. My biggest priority now is this, he thinks to himself, fester that I can get out of this prison legally, without any suspicion, without any stain. Saying this, he slowly starts walking towards the prison. Turning around, he tosses the trump card in his hand into the air and says, "So I leave the rest to you." The card spins through the air, and as it falls to the ground, a heavy vibration is felt. And then, a horrifying groan resounds. A shadow slides down the dark corridor of the prison. A giant, black fungus-covered female monster. Her 6 eyes are red, and her breath is as hot as burning coals. A paved path near an old royal mansion. The sky is overcast with clouds, and there's a light breeze. 2 girls, one purple-haired and one red-haired, are walking slowly toward the mansion. Their faces show worry and tension. Lin, purple-haired girl, slowly. "I knocked on every door, but I didn't get any help. No one has ever escaped from Blackwater prison, and Wang knows that. He's taking advantage of that." She stops walking. Eyes cast down, lips pursed, the wind blows her hair into her face. Renyu, the red-haired girl, in a low and firm voice. "Lin, wait. Is this really the only way?" She turns to him, her eyes filled with concern and determination. "What Wang is asking for is to take advantage of your fear and helplessness. Do you want someone else to make the biggest decision of your life for you?" Lin, in a trembling voice. "I have nothing else left. He's my brother Ren. If I can't do anything, Renyu, slowly, will find another way, but this engagement, it can't be your option." But then, a mysterious voice distracted her. She suddenly froze and turned to look. This crowd, what's going on here? Why are so many people gathered? Across the crowd, people stood silent, their faces contorted in grief and sorrow. The smell of burning incense and the faint sound of muttered chants filled the air. "Wang." Someone called his name from within. An old priest stood beside a portrait in front of them. "He's dead." The 2 girls were stunned when they heard this. "How is that possible?" one asked in a trembling voice. The weight of the words weighed heavy on their breath. The demonic bonds they feared. The man was no longer there. There was silence for a moment. Then another feeling took over, liberation. "Now we don't have to marry him," the older girl said softly, as if she couldn't believe it. While uncertainty shook their souls on the one hand, there was a faint ray of hope on the other. She wiped her tears, but this time they were not tears of sorrow, but of relief. "He got his punishment for his evil deeds," she said softly, as if convincing herself. "I am indeed very lucky to have escaped his clutches." Her eyes no longer held fear, but the sparkle of a new beginning. "I can't wait any longer," she muttered. "I must convey this news to my brother." She was about to turn away when she saw the school principal, who was standing a short distance away. There were tears in his eyes, but they meant something else. He was happy to see the girls crying. The poor girls, he thought to himself, they are so devastated by Wang's death. He did not know that the tears he thought were of grief were actually sighs of relief. He was happy to see those 2 girls. He thought to himself, my son has chosen the right partner. But now that he was dead, he appeared before the girls once again. There was a strange gleam in his eyes. He said in a cold voice, although my son is dead. But your promise will still stand. Lin Lin did not understand anything. Will you release my brother now? She asked hopefully. The principal replied in a serious tone. Yes, of course, one word from me will forgive your crime. But you have to fulfill your promise and marry my son. Ren Yu was shocked to hear this. But your son is dead, how can the marriage happen now? The principal's smile deepened. Death is not always the end. His body has died, but his spirit still exists in this castle. What do you mean? Lin Lin asked in a trembling voice. The marriage ritual is ancient, a bond of soul to soul, and then your brother will be released. Ren Yu stepped forward and held Lin Lin's hand. This is not a deal. This is a curse. This thing was disturbing her inside. How can living people marry the dead? Is this a custom? Or the name of some madness? Then the principal said in a harsh voice, You must follow the order. Get buried in a ghost marriage with my son. This will give him salvation. He paused for a moment, and then said with cruelty in his eyes, And I will free your brother. But his voice had become even heavier now. And if you refuse, it will not be good for you. I will also bury your father and your brother alive with my son. Now it is up to you to decide. Kalin's face turned completely white upon hearing the principal's words. Her lips were trembling. Her heart was beating fast. She was scared. There were only two choices before her. Either lose her brother forever, or marry a dead demon and bury herself. Just then, Ren Yu held her trembling shoulder. His eyes were angry and his voice was stern. I may be crazy, but you are not Lin. This is wrong. You cannot be forced into this. But tears started to flow from Lin's eyes. She looked at Ren Yu and said softly, I have to save my brother's life. I can do anything for him. She turned to the principal and said with trembling lips, Principal, sir, I am ready. I agree to have a ghost marriage with your son. A strange silence spread. There was a satisfied smile on the principal's face. A scene changes, a dark, stone-lined room. This is the Wang clan's secret room. In the middle of the room sits a man on a large carved chair. Principal Wang, standing in front of him, is his eldest son. Wang Yan, his eyes burning with fire. Wang Yan angrily, Dad, why did you let her go? You forgave the person who hurt my younger brother. Should everything just be forgotten? Principal, serious. You don't understand. This ghost marriage isn't just revenge. It's about me ruining her life. Wang Yan, clenching fists. But I don't believe that. Lin Lin has accepted the marriage. That's true. But I won't let her go that easily. The Lin family will have to pay the price for that. The room is silent. Principal Wang slowly gets up from his chair and slowly walks around the room. Principal Wang, slow and cold. I told that girl that I would spare her father and brother. But the truth is, I would never do that. She killed my son, and she has to pay for all her blood debt. Wang Yan smiles, a cold, cruel smile. Wang Yan with hate in his eyes. So what are the orders, Dad? Principal Wang sternly, kill that boy first. In prison quietly like an accident. And after the wedding kill her father too. Wang Yan bowing his head. As you wish. I will arrange it. Mourning the death of a brother, now it's their turn. Scene Blackwater prison, midnight. Dark night, shadows of screams were moving among the damp walls made of black stone. Inmates were laughing viciously in the flickering light of torches. A fat man stood in the middle of the prison, eyes full of greed. Fat man smiling slowly and sharply. Tonight's target, that new guy. Name is Lin Ling. He has angered the higher ones. Whoever kills him may get a hope of freedom in the next war. The faces of the criminals standing in the crowd brighten up. Their eyes shine with blood. One prisoner laughing, Oh, so tonight the prey is ours! Another prisoner shouting, Let's crush that mosquito! The room was plunged into darkness, with only a dim light coming from overhead where a boy sat quietly. An open book in his hands, like he was sitting in a quiet library, not some hellish prison. The noise outside was getting louder, screams, the clanging of metal rods, and the echoing of footsteps. A dark, nervous man came running up to Lin, soaked in sweat, and whispered, Man, scared. Hey kid, don't you know what? All the doors have been opened. The black goons have been called in to kill you. Run, if you don't run now, you won't survive. Lin turned the page slowly, without looking up. Lin Ling in a calm voice, Why should I run? The man was stunned. Are you crazy? They don't leave anyone alive. You're young. Think about it, don't waste your life like that. Lin Ling smiling softly, raising her eyes for the first time. Unless they get inside this cell, it will be costly for them to even dream of taking my life. The crowd of goons was moving quickly towards the cell. The echo of footsteps and the sound of screams was getting louder. Then, suddenly, a scary, choked scream, and everything stopped dead. The storm that was there a moment ago turned into silence in a moment. Lin Lin got up quietly, slowly closed the book, and went near the bars of that cell. The man standing with him was also stunned, seeing the scene outside. The crowd of goons had stopped at one place. No one was moving, as if time had stopped. Some corpses were lying on the ground, eyes open. The same last expression on the faces of fear. Just then, there was a rust in the air. A strange shadow, which had 6 eyes. It had blade, like sharp claws in its hands, and its steps were soundless. The monster came, and as if dancing to some invisible music, started tearing the goons one by one. Cut, cut, cut. A stream of blood started flowing on the walls. The man standing with the hero stepped back in fear. Man trembling, "Who is this, brother? Is this a monster? All this is happening because of you." He understood this is not an ordinary boy. All the bodies are lying on the ground. Drops of fresh blood on the walls, the smell of gunpowder and death in the air. Lin Ling now stands alone, and an orange light flashes in his eyes. As if warning of a demon lurking within, his face is calm, but there is a cold resentment in his voice. Lin Ling, in a serious tone, "In this world of destruction, if someone respects me, I will bow my head and respect him. But if someone dares to insult me, I will erode his entire existence." The warden's office was lit with a dim yellow light. Across from the old wooden desk was the Wang clan man. His eyes were now filled with discontent instead of suspicion. "Has Lin Yuan been killed yet?" he asked directly. The warden smiled. His smile had a cruelty to it that told the story of years of prison rule. "He is weak, helpless. You don't need a prison officer to kill him. The rules are different here. The crowd decides." The Wang clan man now breathed a sigh of relief. He will be killed soon. Hearing warden, the person from Wang clan smiled deeply. He rested both his palms on each other and said slowly, "It's very good." His voice was not only confident, but also a terrible intent. "As soon as this anarchy will end, I will come for Wang's ghost marriage. In gift for that girl, I will take her brother's head." At that moment, a woman hurries in. But before she can say anything, a loud noise resounds from outside, like iron doors breaking, like hundreds of footsteps hitting the ground at once. The man from the Wang family immediately turns back and looks at the window, his eyes narrowed with suspicion and worry. "Hey," he says in a low voice, "the noise, are all the prisoners coming to attack us?" But the warden sat comfortably in his heavy leather chair, his eyes half shut, as if he was far removed from the chaos outside. He took a puff of his cigarette very delicately, a thin trail of smoke floating in the air before his eyes. "There's no need to be afraid," he said very calmly, as if all this was just a minor disturbance. "This door can't be broken even by a tank." There was no arrogance in his words, but an old, hardened experience, as if he had seen rebellions before and had won every time. But at that very moment, a resounding thud, and then, thud, a terrible fist fell in the middle of the door, a blow that shook not just the iron but the very soul of the entire room. For a moment everything stopped, air, sound, breath, and then the door split in two with a bang, as if some demon was tearing it apart with his nails. A part of the wall collapsed. A cloud of dust spread across the room. As the door shattered, 2 figures emerged from the smoke. Our hero, and behind him stood a giant, skeleton-like monster. His hollow eyes burned with blue fire, and the black smoke rising from his body made it seem like death itself was following him. The Wang clan man stepped back for a moment, then screamed in anger. "Oh, this is a beast of bones, and you're controlling it." His eyes widened as if he'd seen something unholy. "I'll report this." But he couldn't even finish his words. Dang! With a deafening noise, the monster's giant arm swung through the air and slammed the man into the wall with a single punch. The wall shattered, rocks flew, and red spots scattered all around. There was no trace of his body, only a blurred map of flesh and bones clinging to it. Silence fell over the room. The woman, who had been standing calm until now, was shaken from within. Her breathing slowed. She saw the monster was standing under the command of a human, without chains, without any magic line. How is that possible, she thought. A first-class bone creature and a human's subordinate. There is no mention of such a thing in any document. Now the warden's face had turned pale. His lips began to tremble, but he still mustered up the courage to say, This is Blackwater prison. His voice was shaky. If you kill me, you won't be able to escape either. We have the strongest guard corps, you alone, will eventually be torn to pieces by them. Our hero fell silent for a moment. Then he raised the corners of his lips slightly and said softly, So you mean these people? The doors open. The sound of heavy boots, the echo of footsteps, the whole squad of soldiers enters the room. Guns are shining in everyone's hands, faces are grim. But the scene was different. They all turn at once. They point their guns at the warden. For a moment the warden doesn't even move. His pupils dilate. It's as if he can't believe that his own men are now aiming at him. What is this? What is this joke? His voice breaks. Why are you all looking at me? He takes a step back, but the wall was now behind him. His back hits the wall. Now he was completely helpless. He said in trembling words, You all. What are you doing? I am the warden of this prison. I have trained you. Did I train you for this day? That you will point your guns at me? Just then, a strange shadow starts hovering near the ceiling. The warden and the soldiers look up. There it was, the six-eyed monster. Waves of energy were emanating from its wing like legs like a spider. It slowly came to a halt above the heads of those soldiers. Our hero says in a calm voice, If these soldiers were under your control till now, but now they are my spider puppets. Now they will obey me. The warden was stunned. He understood. Now he has neither strength nor support left. He falls on his knees trembling. Forgive me. Yeah. I was helpless. The Wang family forced me. The hero looks at him deeply and says, Let me think. Okay. Now hand over your burden, your rights. And that chip to me. The warden immediately took out a metal chip from his waist and gave it to him. Take it. But it is of no use to you. As soon as the hero finished his sentence, the room fell silent for a moment. The warden looked around pleadingly, perhaps hoping for some compassion. But at that very moment, click, all the soldiers pulled their triggers. The loud sound of guns echoed throughout the room. The warden's body convulsed in a flash. His face was filled with fear, regret, and pain. In a matter of seconds, he had fallen to the ground, riddled with bullets, still and speechless. An eerie silence descended upon the room. So, friends, will our hero be able to reach his sister now? Or will he leave alive the girl who has stood by him till now? To know all this, stay connected with us in the next chapter. Subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and press the like button on this video. Your one like gives us the strength to write the next story.